Welcome to Popturnative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports.
Helen here from Popturnative. Thanks, Greg, for talking to me about Sprung.
Thanks for wanting to talk about it.
Yeah, of course. I just want to say that I feel this is the perfect time for a show like this. We're in a better place, than we were 2 years ago with the pandemic. I feel like I can laugh at it now and not cry. Not too traumatized watching it. What was your thought process like putting this together? Did you have that in mind that you wanted to get laughs out of people at a good time? I'm just wondering.
Yeah, I mean, when I wrote this, for the most part, when I first came up with the original script and wrote it, and then the subsequent 2 or 3 after that, it was very early, in the pandemic, and so it was a time where like we were naive about certain things, we were confused about things, and so that's why we set it in that time, because we felt like, okay, we can have a little bit of fun with this. I mean, it's the inciting incident, obviously, that gets these people out of prison, the virus, but also, people were confused. They didn't know, like, do I pick this up off the ground? Is it there's stuff on?
I love that.
And we're probably being too careful in some places and not careful enough in others, and so we felt like because it was early on, we could have a little fun with it. And at the last thing we ever wanted to do was make light of it. I mean, at that point, I had known people that passed away from this. And even today, a couple of days ago, I found out some tragic news about somebody else. And it's not something that was ever like, oh, these people are making fun of a pandemic. That's not what we ever wanted to do. And hopefully it doesn't come across like that. It's a backdrop to the series. The series is seen, the idea was let's have this whole common thing that we're all going through, but let's see it through the eyes of some people we weren't even thinking about during this. Right? So they have some similar things they're dealing with, but for the most part, most of us were not released from prison during COVID. And those who were, I hope they enjoy the series, but most of us weren't. And so it's a different experience to watch.
Yeah, I can see what you mean. It definitely made you, although you had laughs, you're thinking deeply, right? Like, yeah, people were horrible selling toilet paper like that,
Exactly. Yeah. And you were seeing like things in the news about senators and congresswomen like selling stocks. And, it's like, where's the justice? I'm sitting in my house stuck here. I want to see some justice. So there's some wish fulfillment in this show where these people go out and kind of like go get those people.
So you had that idea from the get-go. It didn't transform throughout you. That was your first idea.
Yeah, I mean, I had an idea kicking around my head about somebody that got released from prison after a long stint of a drug crime, and what it was like for them to enter the world again. But then I kind of took, 3% of that idea and turned it into this with a more timely, and fleshed it out and filled out the world and came up with a whole new concept. But yeah, that's where it came from.
Awesome. And, you worked with Garrett and Martha before, a couple of years ago. What was it like this time around during a pandemic too? How was it this time around in a different story?
It was great. I mean, I wrote this from Garrett from the beginning, and he's an executive producer on it, and absolutely love working with him. And then when Martha came aboard, it was just like old times. We've all stayed close and remain friends since Raising Hope, so it wasn't like it was the first time we were seeing each other or anything like that. We had been in my backyard social distancing not long before that, but it was just great. I mean, the chemistry the two of them have, and the vibe they both bring to set it's infectious, I think, to everybody else, and I think everybody in the cast had a great time working with both of them. And yeah, during a pandemic, I mean, I was very nervous about shooting during a pandemic and what it was going to be like and how it would slow down production, and wearing a mask for 14 hours a day and getting tested every single day, and being in Pittsburgh and not leaving my apartment unless I was shooting, because if I got sick, we all shut down. If other people got sick, we'd try to like work around it. So that was tricky, but we did it without interruption, and everybody did such an amazing job of just keeping us safe throughout the whole process.
Awesome. So if besides, taking some laughs and thinking seriously, is there something else you really want viewers to take away from this when they watch it on August 19th?
Yeah, I mean, I hope that, look, I somebody said to me once, they said they liked my shows. It was the best compliment I ever got. They said, I like your shows because I laugh, but at the end of it, I feel good at the end of it.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Yeah, so I hope people enjoy it and enjoy the characters and have a nice feeling. I hope it's an escape for them. I mean, I feel like that's my role. I feel like that's my role is I'm the jester. Okay. I'm not going to run for political office. I'm not going to, I don't have the brains to figure out the big problems in life, but hopefully at the end of the day, I can give you, 30, 40 minutes to sit down and watch an episode of something and laugh and hopefully feel good at the end of it. So I hope they take away that from it. And I really hope that they enjoy the aesthetics of the show. I feel like shooting in Pittsburgh for the first time, away from Los Angeles. I really love the way it looks, the way it feels, and I hope they like my other shows and they go, oh, there's some stuff that's similar, but I also hope they see that we raise the bar a little bit as well.
Definitely. Well, thanks so much for your time, and everyone can catch Sprung on Freebie August 19th.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you. Helen here from Popternative. Hi, Phillip, Claire, and James. So great to talk to you about Sprung.
Hi, Helen.
I just want to say that this show was hilarious. I had great laughs, but also made me think too. Although it's comedic, you're thinking about you guys are little COVID vigilantes. So did that attract you to the script as well? That it wasn't just it's a comedic relief, but there's also some deep storylines there as well. I don't know who wants to go first. It's for all three.
I just want everybody to call us COVID vigilantes because I love that.
That's the first thing I thought of when I saw it.
Vigilantes, that's amazing. We're the Avengers of COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I think having COVID as the backdrop for this show definitely, I think, attracted all of us to it because it's something we're all living through. And while it's not, the main event of the show necessarily, it's amazing to be able to jump on a project that is so light and easy and heartfelt and is also addressing what we're going through as a collective in a smart way.
Yeah. Phillip, what about you?
Yeah, no, I think it's funny because in the audition, when we're auditioning, we get like two scenes. You get one scene that's like kind of wacky and crazy, and then you get another scene that's super heartfelt and real. I think Greg did a good job. Greg Garcia is our director and creator and writer. Gosh, he had some look back at it and you're like, if it weren't for Greg, we all would have been super lost, but he knew exactly what he wanted. He did a good job in balancing obviously the comedy, zany, moments, but then also, making sure that we feel for these characters and honestly, those are my favorite scenes to do, where the kind of the heartfelt scenes,
Yeah. James, what about you? Did you notice that as well from joining the project?
Yeah, and I mean, one of the things I loved too about it was I watched a few episodes, and the one thing I loved about it was the look of it. Like a lot of times when you watch TV, you rarely do you see a show that has a look and a feel like this. Like everything kind of is the same. It doesn't have a real look and vibe. And even when I was talking to Greg and when we first was doing this, after I got the role, I talked to him on the phone. He was like, "Yeah, we're gonna film it in Pittsburgh." He was talking about because of the space of the sun and the position of where the sun is at. And I'm like, what the hell is this dude talking about? You just do this in LA. We can film it in the studio. Like you can do this anywhere. But when I seen it, I'm like, oh yeah, you couldn't do this anywhere else in the world. This is where it had to be. And it made so much sense, so yeah, I love that.
Yeah, I want to get back to a little bit working with Greg. And also I heard it was filmed quite quickly, right? This series. So what was the process like, especially we're still in a pandemic. So what was that like, the quickness and dealing with the protocols?
Thank God. Fortunately, none of us, we didn't, the production was able to keep going. We had no problems the whole time. It was 10 weeks of just going in.
Wow.
And we had a lot of time to prep. So when we got to set, it was, Greg had everything planned from beginning to end, from where you walk to where you stop. So it was really no time to come up and brainstorm what ideas and stuff like that. We had to do all that before we got there. So when we got to set, it was just straight work, straight getting to it. It wasn't a lot of time to lag because he didn't have a lot of time. He was doing a lot of stuff in a small amount of time.
Yeah. One thing
we basically shot 10 episodes. We basically shot 10 episodes in 10 weeks.
Oh my God.
We shot so it's kind of Intense for sure, but
Mhm.
we're all a team. I think Greg was our fearless leader, and we just kept plowing through, and we got through it. I think we only pushed like 3 days, so
Yeah.
yeah, it was badass.
And one thing that I loved about the series too was the physical comedy aspect to it that I find I'm missing a lot, in today. It kind of reminded me of like the 90s sitcoms, right? The physical comedy that's really out there. Claire, what was it like being in that scenario, filming some of those scenes? You're dancing in a lot of scenes, you're doing all kinds of stuff. Oh, did we lose?
I'm a very physical person, and easier to be more in my body and to be able to use that. So it was great that we didn't have to like have some kind of super still acting or something. Like I'm more of a creature, so that worked to my benefit.
Awesome.
Yeah. I would say too, we didn't have a lot of, like I said, a lot of time on set. So like me, I'm a big improv guy. Like I love improv acting and making up lines and all this stuff. But with Greg, it was none of that. It was straight whatever's written on the page. This is what we're doing. So a lot of times we have to find different ways to improv, different ways to come up and be creative with stuff we want to do. And the one thing we do have control over is our bodies.
Mm-hmm.
So being physical was a different way of us improving.
Yeah. Phillip.
That's a good point, dude.
Yeah, I definitely, and I could almost feel a little like, I don't know how it was filming that, especially like Phillip, you have your pants down sometimes in some scenes and you have hot dogs. So I don't know, was that awkward for you, or is that something you're used to?
I personally love taking off my clothes
Okay.
in real life. So I felt right at home.
Okay. One thing I want to ask all three of you before we wrap up is, what do you hope that viewers get when they watch this? Obviously, it's a comedy, but there's like serious tones. What do you hope people get when they sit down to watch it? I'll start with Phillip.
Yeah, I really, and I feel pretty confident about this, is that, yes, there will be a lot of really funny kind of zany type moments, but I think the more important pieces are the like family parts of it, like we all become a big family by the end, and it's the family that we're born with, but then it's also the family that we choose along the way, and I think that to me is really special.
Yeah, the family you choose, definitely. Yeah, Claire, what about you?
I hope people feel like get some reprieve when they watch it, like taking a hot bath or something. You kind of watch it and you're like, yeah, I did like wipe down my groceries with 100% alcoholic. Oh yeah, I did like use the sock as a mask, and just feel like I can laugh. I'm still in it. It's so serious, but I can laugh about it and also enjoy, what you want from a comedy, which is love stories and people falling all over the place and silly things happening.
Yeah, and I think one thing I want people to get from it is, like, again, how I was saying, this is not just one of those comedies where you turn on and you're just like, ha ha ha, da da da. You know what I'm saying? It's like some real life to this.
Or to it.
It's something that you can relate to. It's those, I remember that moment. I remember having to, bang my pants every night at 8 p.m. outside with the rest of my neighbors, because we all locked inside. Like, wow, I remember that. And yeah, just kind of a moment to reminisce and relate, which is when I watch TV, that's what I want to do. I want to reminisce and I want to relate and I want to laugh.
I definitely got all of that. And I also felt like it was also a good time for it, right? Okay, it's 2 years past. We can start laughing about it and thinking about it. Thanks all for your time. Everyone's going to be able to watch Sprung on August 19th on Freevee.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.